What if I told you that you can still get in shape even while working 10-hour shift every single day? If you didn't know me already, hi, I'm Sean. I'm an online fitness coach that specializes in fat loss, and I've helped guys like this completely change their life by getting into shape and losing the stubborn fat. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So 1 year ago, I was literally working 10-hour shift every single day. As you can see, I'll wake up at about 8, do my morning routine, and I'll start my first shift at about 9:30. And I was doing food delivery, if you couldn't tell. I'll literally work like 5-hour shifts in the morning, take a small break where I'll eat my lunch, and after that I'll continue for another 5 hours after that before I have my dinner. And I literally did this for like every single day for like 2 months straight. And even in that time, I still managed to go from being skinny fat to being completely jacked out, as you can see. And the reason I was able to do this is because I have a genuine system that actually works for me, that allows me to show up even on my worst days. And if you're watching this video, you're probably someone like me. You want to get in shape, but you don't know how. Every single day after you come home from work, you're completely exhausted. You have no energy to meal prep, to go to the gym, to do anything even related to fitness. And I completely understand that because I was exactly in your shoes. And I'm going to teach you how to actually get past that in this video. All right, so the first thing that I did that really helped with me in getting into shape and staying into shape is to wake up early and hit your workout and meal prep. Now, if you're watching this, there's a very high chance that you are already sleep deprived as absolute fuck. And waking up early probably isn't something that exactly you want to do. I promise you, if you can do this, it's going to help you so much, right? Because when you come home from work, when you're working tiring shifts, it's going to be literally impossible for you to have any energy to go and work out, to go and meal prep or whatever at that point. So what you want to do is really just do everything in the morning when you still have the energy and you still have the mental clarity to be able to execute. The first 2 weeks is going to be slightly tough, but you're going to slowly get used to it. And I promise you that this is going to help you so much in the long run. All right, so the hardest part about this is actually not waking up early. It's making sure that you sleep early. So for this, what I do is I set a sleep alarm, right? So when the sleep alarm goes off, what I do is I will set my alarms for the next day. So let's say I'm waking up 8 a.m., I'll set it for 8 a.m. I'll plan for tomorrow. So I'll go through that in a bit. Yeah, I'll basically time block my next day and make sure that I know exactly what I'm going to be doing for tomorrow. I'll off all my devices. If you didn't know already, blue light is super bad for your sleep. It disrupts the melatonin production. So yeah, you want to make sure that it's all off and that your bedroom is completely device free. After that, obviously, I'll brush my teeth, do my skincare routine, shower, do whatever, and I'll make sure I get ready for bed. So what I use is actually this app. It's called Alarm Clock Extreme. And what it does is that for you to dismiss it, you have to get up and walk, right? So you literally have to walk with your phone for a little bit for you to dismiss the alarm. And now why this is actually so helpful is because I'm sure you have experienced this before when you're binge watching YouTube or like you're doom scrolling through your phone. You kind of lose your sense of awareness, you lose your mindfulness, and you basically get so engrossed into it and you get into this dopamine hole that's so hard for you to get out, and just keep scrolling and keep binge watching, and before you know it, it's already way past your bedtime, and now you have only like 5 hours to sleep. So what this does is actually it forces me to get up and walk. And when I do that, it gives me back this sense of awareness and mindfulness that I actually need to get ready to sleep and prepare for bed, right? So this app I use, you can try it out for yourself. I'm not affiliated. And now if you're not able to work out in the morning for whatever reason, you want to make sure that our environment is optimized so that once you do come home, you're reminded straight away, okay, I need to go and work out. And because like once you sit and lie down, you're basically just cooked, right? Like I've done this before so many times where I come from a tiring day at work. I know I need to go work out, but literally the moment my ass touch the floor, I'm out, bro. I'm gonna be doom scrolling. I'm gonna be like sleeping or whatever. But yeah, a pro hack that I use is that I play like motivational music or like a speech. I actually just listen to David Goggins. Every time I listen to this man, I straight up just get completely fired up and I'm ready to put in the fucking work and grind it out and careless my mind. And obviously, you also want to make sure that you remember why you're actually doing this. I think so a lot of times, you forget why you're actually doing this and you're just kind of going through the motion. But when you remember your end goal of why you actually want to get in shape, whether that is to get confidence, to get more attraction from girls, whatever it is, when you really understand that at the core, it's going to be so much easier for you to stay consistent and do the hard work even when you don't feel like it. All right, next up is time blocking. And this is what I mentioned just now. You want to do this at the end of every day where you kind of plan out tomorrow. So this is my work. After that, I'll eat breakfast. If I'm going to work out in the morning, I'm going to put it all there. And yeah, this really helps you to keep track of your time and making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. The biggest thing about this is to understand that you're not going to follow it perfectly, right? I see so many guys who say like, oh, I can't do this just because I know I'm not going to follow it. But that's the thing, you're not going to be perfect. No one is going to be perfect, right? But the whole point of it is that even if you follow it to like 70 or 80%, it's going to be so much more productive than if you don't follow it at all. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you plan out the day. You can either do this on Google Calendar, which is where I usually do it, or you can buy a physical time blocker and just write out everything that you need to do. And the key thing for this is to make sure that you reflect every night on what went wrong and how to better improve it. So let's say like I took longer than usual for my lunch, right? Like something cut into it. How can I make sure I prevent that to make sure that it doesn't happen again? And for this, I mean, obviously it's packed to the max, but I'll recommend some buffer blocks in case something goes wrong. Maybe your mom asks you to do a chore or something and it cuts in, so like at least you have some buffer time for yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much it for time blocking. All right, moving on, I'm going to talk about nutrition. So starting off, I'm going to go through some breakfast options that you can do for your pre-workout meals and your post-workout meals. So for a pre-workout meal, you usually want to have something that is more carb heavy, that's able to give you the energy that you need to go through the entire workout without feeling lightheaded or anything. So I'm sure some of you might be thinking, should I do the workouts faster if I want to lose fat? And now for this, I only recommend it for low intensity exercises. So if you're going for a light jog or if you're doing some light version of a workout, I think it's perfectly fine to do it without eating. And even when you're fasted, I think it can be such a great way to lose fat because when you're fasted, your body's in a state of ketosis, which means that it's burning fat as energy for the workout, right? But if you're doing anything that's high intensity, so like an actual strength training session or like even a sprinting session, make sure to definitely get in some carbs or like something before the workout to just give you the energy that you need so that you don't feel lightheaded and you don't faint. And here are some options you can do. So this is why I usually eat Greek yogurt with some banana, drizzle with some honey. The calories is actually very manageable. So if you're trying to cut, this won't be much of a problem. If you're on a bulk, you can try something like this where you have toast, peanut butter, which will be slightly more calories. And here are some other options that you can try out as well. So for the post-workout meal, the most important thing is really making sure that you're getting in the protein so that, there will be optimal muscle protein synthesis, and also making sure that you're getting some carbs to replenish the glycogen that you lost during the workouts. So here's some options. If you are someone that is running low on time and, like you need to rush out for work, I'll just recommend you making a protein shake. It's great because you're getting a ton of protein and it's fast, it's easy to make, and you're also getting some carbs to replenish your glycogen storage with the milk and the banana. Moving on, I'm going to go through some general nutritional guidelines for you if you're trying to get in shape. So number one is to stick to whole foods, right? So anything that your grandparents wouldn't consider as food, you should not be touching it, right? So looking at all this dog shit right here, if your grandparents look at it, they would not think of that as food, right? So you want to make sure that it's completely cut out. Focus on whole foods, your meat, your vegetables, your fruits and all. And next is to make sure you get your protein in. I think most people already know protein is obviously a crucial building block for building muscle, helping to satiate you. But what I think most people don't understand is how much protein you actually need. So from here, I have a chart to show you exactly how much protein you need. So for most people, you probably only need about 1.6 gram of protein per kg of your body weight, and that's about 0.73 grams per pound of your body weight if you are using pounds. But most people actually think you need way more protein than they actually need, so I want to clear this up. You only need about 1.6. If you're training hard as fuck, then probably go up to about 2 grams of protein per kg of your body weight. Moving on is to make sure you track your calories. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make as well. Whether they're trying to lose weight or trying to gain weight, they're not tracking your calories. If you don't track, you won't understand how much you're actually putting in the body, and you won't know if you're actually progressing properly. So if you're trying to lose weight, you want to make sure to be in a 200 to 300 calories deficit. If you want to gain weight, vice versa, you want to be in a 200 to 300 calorie surplus, right? So let's say your maintenance, which we'll touch on in a bit. Let's say your maintenance is about 2,000 calories. You're going to be about 1,700 to 1,800 calories if you're trying to lose weight, and vice versa, 2,200 to 2,300 calories if you're trying to gain weight. And if your weight has been stagnant for a while, you want to slowly increase your intervals by about 200. So let's say you're trying to lose weight, you're at 1.8k for a while now and you're not really seeing any progress in your weights. You want to slowly lower it down to about 1.6k. And if you still can't lose weight at that, then you want to slowly lower it down. I've heard of people that tell me that they're at 800 calories and they're still not losing weight. And the chance of that is very low because you're not just going to get energy from like nothing, right? You're not a plant, right? You cannot photosynthesize your energy from just thin air. So if you're 800 calories and somehow you're still not losing weight, the biggest thing is probably you're just not tracking properly, right? And you're probably underestimating the amount of calories you're putting in the body. Or number two, it might be your sleep is so bad that your body hormones might be just completely out of whack, and that might cause you to be find it incredibly hard to lose weight. So make sure you take care of your sleep and make sure that you're actually tracking it properly, which I'll go over in a little bit, so no worries on that. Now, for you to find your maintenance calories is actually pretty simple. All you gotta do is search out BMR calculator in your browser, and then after that, put in your age, your height, your weight, and from here, it'll give you a rough estimate on your amount of calories you burn every single day based on activity level. So if you work out about 4 to 5 times a week, you will be about 2.6k for someone that is 23 years old, 183 cm, and 75 kg. Now, what this means is basically as long as you eat below these calories, you will lose weight, right? But obviously, this is just a rough estimate of your maintenance. It's not like a pinpoint thing. So you want to kind of experiment the amount of calories you're putting in the body and adjusting based on that, like what I mentioned just now. Now, here's how to track your calories. So the best option is obviously to meal prep and get the exact weight of ingredients. Now, like let's say you're cooking 100 grams of rice, you can see clearly like it's 130 calories. And if what you're eating has the nutritional label on the back where it shows the calories, the protein and stuff, that's amazing because you don't even have to track from there. But let's say you're eating out, I'll say the best option is probably just to use AI to estimate the amount of calories and macros, which is obviously not very accurate because it can't really determine how much weight, how much what is the exact proportions of the meal, but it is better than nothing, right? Now, if you want a personalized meal plan that is catered exactly to your preferences, your schedule, your goals, and etc., feel free booking a call down in the description below, and I'll see how I can help. Moving on, we're gonna go talk about training. So for the training, obviously, you're someone that is working long hours. You want to make sure that your sessions are as efficient and as time effective as possible. And I'm gonna go through 4 powerful techniques for you to extract maximum gains from your shorter workouts. So number 1 is to make sure increase your intensity. This is the biggest mistake I see beginners make. They're just not pushing high enough. And now why this is able to help you have a shorter workout is because if your intensity is higher, the amount of volume you do can be lower, right? So that means you can have less sets, you can have less number of reps, which means you will be able to save time. But for this, you also want to make sure that you train at a high intensity. You want to make sure that you train close to or near to failure, or even to failure, like for most of your sets, right? Your face should be looking like this. If you're not ashamed of people looking at your face during the end of your set, you're just not training high enough. Your face should be looking like you're taking the biggest fucking shit of your entire life, right? Moving on. Number 2 is no phone or scrolling between sets. This is how you should be looking in between your sets, where you're just locked in, you're just waiting for the next set. If you have a watch, you can just use your time, the amount of rest you have in between your sets. If not, you can use your phone, but just put it at the side and just see it from afar, you know what I mean? The amount of focus your phone takes away is a lot, right? And if you don't use your phone, I promise you, you'll finish your workout way faster and you won't waste time at the gym scrolling or like doing whatever the fuck you do on your phone. So make sure you don't have a phone. If possible, try to not even bring a phone to the gym, right? Which is why I usually do. I don't even have my phone to the gym. I know some people will be like, oh, why if I have an emergency? But the thing is, like, how many emergencies have you had for the past like 6 months, right? Like, think of a time where you actually had an actual emergency. Promise you, it's probably not as common as you think. Moving on. So we're going to talk about drop sets and supersets. So drop set is basically when you perform exercise to failure and then drop the weight by about 10 to 30% and keep going with basically little to no rest in between. So the purpose of this is to make sure that you push your muscle past its normal limits, maximizing fatigue and triggering more muscle growth in less amount of times. So when you do drop sets, you don't have to do as much sets as you need to previously, right? So if let's say now you're doing like 4 sets for exercise, if you're doing drop sets, I'll say you can probably go to 2, right? Because you're pushing each set so much to failure, right? So example of this is bicep curls. You start 8K, you start 20 kg, you do 8 reps, you can't do any more, you drop to 15 reps, you drop to 15 kg, sorry, and then you continue wrapping it out until you can't do any more, and then after that, drop 10 kg, and then you continue wrapping it out until you have go to absolute failure. Right, and this really pushes your muscles all the way to fatigue, which means that you don't have to do as much sets. The next thing is a superset. So a superset is when you perform 2 exercises that works different muscle groups back to back with pretty much like no rest in between before taking your actual normal rest for your next exercise. So the purpose of this is to cut your workout time significantly while making sure that you're still keeping intensity high and you're still maximizing muscle growth. So an example of this would be like bench press, which works the chest, the triceps, the anterior delts, and then you immediately go to barbell rows, which will work like your posterior muscles, your back, your posterior delts, and all that. And lastly will be to focus on compound movements. This will be your dips, your pull-ups, squats, incline bench press, rows. These are the exercises that works on multiple muscle groups instead of just isolating one, which gives you the most bang for buck for your time, especially if you're a busy adult, you don't want to spend like an hour in the gym. I promise you, when you focus on compound movements, it will save you so much time, right? And if you make use of all these techniques properly, increasing intensity, no phone or scrolling between sets, implementing drop sets and supersets, making sure you focus on compound muscles, your workout should be like 30-45 minutes max, right? Which will save you a ton of time. And here's an example of a workout split. This will be a full body split where you have all the compound exercises and you'll basically hit every single muscle group in your body. So you want to do this about 3 times a week. This is an example of a training split for you. And for superset pairings, you can do bench press to pull-ups, overhead press to rows, Romanian deadlift to dumbbell rows. And yeah, if you want a personalized training plan that's catered to your exact schedule, to your exact preferences, to whether you want it to be gym exercises or bodyweight exercises, feel free to book in a call down in the description below and I'll see how I can help. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. I hope this has helped you as a busy professional who's working 10+ hour shift every single day. For me, obviously, this was not easy. It's not going to be easy. But the whole point is that you continue to execute, you continue to focus on what you can actually control, and you keep going. As long as you don't give up, one fucking day, I promise you, you will win. All right. And if this video helped you in some way, shape, or form, make sure to leave a like and make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.